The Palmetto State is known for supernatural activity and ghost stories, so we decided to investigate one of the state's most well-known legends, the tale of Alice Flagg of the Hermitage. The story dates back 150 years to the banks of the inlet in Georgetown County and is still told today.
Many people come to visit Alice's grave today and have for many years. They leave remembrances for her, and they often do a ritual of walking around her grave. She's often seen here in the churchyard walking and looking for her ring.
Where's Alice?
I heard something when you guys were like at 13, honestly. You heard something that way, I heard something over there. But
I heard a stick break.
Place a ring on top of her grave, walk 13 times backwards, say her name. Supposedly Alice is supposed to pop up and see if that's the ring that she lost from her beloved. Well, we did that, and a friend of mine decided that when nothing happened, she'd jump on that slab and to proclaim Alice was a fake. And we're all horrified that she did that, but we all kind of laughed when we got back to our car. 2 tires were flat, and there was no one at that cemetery but us. Nobody. And then you realize, was Alice really here? Did she really do this to us? Yes, she did. She did. I'm thoroughly convinced. I've told my grandchildren this. I've told all my friends. I've taken them to that grave, and I forbid them to walk on that slab.
She's seen, too, on the banks of the creek in Murrells Inlet, where her old summer home was, looking by the water and asking my ring, "Have you seen my ring?" Alice Flagg was 15 years old when this story began. She was the daughter of a rice planter who had died, and she was being raised by her brother, her older brother, medical doctor and plantation owner Alice Flagg, and her mother. She met a young lumberman, and he was a fine, handsome, strapping young man, and it was what we'd call love at first sight. Allard asked Alice not to see this young man anymore. But the timing was terrible. He had just given her a ring. Here she thought she was engaged, and that with a 15-year-old's naivety, she showed the ring to her brother and no doubt her mother. She thought they might start planning a wedding, but instead they told her to give it back and not see the young man again. So Alice, not wanting to break her engagement or upset her brother, she took the ring and she put it on a ribbon, and she dropped the ribbon down inside the neck of her dress so that it hung right beside her heart because she was in love. Allard had been in touch, expecting that this day would come, with a boarding school mistress in Charleston who was well known for keeping young plantation belles away from inappropriate beaux. Alice felt betrayed by her family. Here she had met her one true love, and they told her not only not to see him again, but sent her away so that she would have no chance of seeing him at all. She was distraught. She began to eat less. She naturally lost weight. She had trouble sleeping. Malaria was as rampant in the low country, or was, and Alice succumbed to malaria. By the time word got to him up here in Murrells Inlet, and he got down to the boarding school to see about his sister, she had fallen into a coma. He loaded her back into their buggy and brought her back home up to Murrells Inlet over all those rivers and ferries, and Alice was very ill indeed when he put her in her own bed in the Hermitage on the banks of the creek in Murrells Inlet. He was feeling for her heartbeat when he found a ribbon. And removing the ribbon, he found the ring. He recognized it immediately. The ring he had told her to give back. He was so furious that even though his sister lay nearly in death, he snatched the ring, and Allard took the ring out to the creek bank and threw it as far out into the creek as he could. Alice did rally from her coma. Weakly, she felt for the ribbon, which the ring was attached to. The ribbon wasn't there. She began to frantically feel for the ribbon. The ring wasn't there either. They were gone. My ring. She is said to have died searching frantically through the drawers and trunks in her room for the ring that was no longer there. Alice was brought here to All Saints Waccamaw Episcopal Churchyard and laid to rest.
When we were at the Hermitage growing up, every night, just about, particularly if we had guests, there were ghost stories told on that porch. And so everybody in the area was familiar with Alice. When they told us the stories, we bought into it, lock, stock, and barrel.
They were young.
We believed it. When we went up that first section at night and hit that landing, usually we both were like this.
Right.
We didn't want to see anything, and we closed our eyes and blinded ourselves.
Get in bed and cover our heads up.
Well, one night during World War II, Sis Peterkin, our sister, was outside in a hammock on the front of the Hermitage, and it was kind of a stormy night, and she screamed, and when she screamed, I went outside, she pointed, and I saw something white that just was doing this, and she said, when I got there, that it had already been coming down. That's why she screamed.
Sis and Granny, their mother, they said that they saw a woman pass through the middle in white, just kind of float through. But they both had vivid imaginations.
Okay, the facts that we have, we know that she was born in about 1833 and she died in 1849. Logic tells us that there's no way they would have carried a body in a wagon to Paula's Island when they had a cemetery right over here, which was already started as a Flagg burial ground.
And a friend of mine found that and showed it to me, saying that Alice was buried at Cedar Hill, which is Blaine Cemetery. We understand that Joe and Bill's grandmother and her sister started the story of Alice and the young man that she was supposed to be dating to entertain the teachers that Grandpapa was boarding.
The story on the ring being thrown in the creek and telling people to hunt the ring, the story about going around the grave down at All Saints, and those stories we think were invented by our Uncle Clark. And he was writing and selling pamphlets and books. It kind of ran in strong in the family. They were all capable of making a story more exciting by embellishing it somewhat. One time we ran a rope out of a window upstairs and put pulleys on it so we could run a sheet back and forth on it, and we simulated Alice for them. But this was a teenage activity, you know, and Joe was very good at that.
Oh, yeah.
They were just about as naive as we had been before we realized that Alice was more of an imagination than a real thing. Now, I do believe in ghosts.
Where's my ring?
And I think we all believe in ghosts. And so I didn't avoid accepting the possibility that could have happened. Anything is possible. And I'm certain that we have ghosts.
My ring. Where's my ring?
To this day, Joe still gets goosebumps when he goes up into Alice's room at the Hermitage. Bill insists that Joe and Ann painted the ceiling on the front porch paint blue to superstitiously ward off ghosts.